So with the dahlia, I decided I'm going to plant 6 cells, and I am just going to label each row. So this has 4 rows going this way, 3 rows going this way. So I'm just basically going to be dividing this tray in half. Half is going to be dahlias, half is going to be something else. So I want to put a label on there before I forget. Dahlia. Some people pronounce it dahlia. I don't even know what the right way is, but I've always heard of it as dahlia in this area. So that's why I say that. Dahlia, and today is March 24th. And I'm going to make a second label for the second row. And I want to see how long it takes for these to germinate. Sprouts in 7 to 14 days. So I'm going to put 7 to 14 on one of these labels, just so that I'm not staring at this on Friday like, where's it going to grow? When's it going to grow? It's because I got to wait a little bit longer. So that's always kind of like a helpful tip, especially if you're somebody like me where you just kind of get antsy. You want to see things growing. So let's go and cut off a corner. I don't think I'm going to be able to plant pansies this year, just because I don't think I'm going to have enough room for my trees in the house. Huh, I did not expect these seeds to look like this. 4, 5, 1 more, 6. I'm going to show you what these look like. I guess I thought they were going to be round. I don't know what I was thinking. But that is what the seeds look like. So I'm just going to put a little hole in here. Always try to get your seeds in the center of your cell as much as you can. Do the best you can. That way your roots can get enough room in every direction. All right. That'd be really cool if all these grew. Well, that seed doesn't feel like there's anything in it. Gotta give it a chance. All right, so we've got dahlia planted. Let's go with, let's do a row of Shasta daisies. So just 3 plants. And this says it's going to germinate in 10 to 14 days. So I'll have to wait almost 2 weeks. 10 to 14, and then today's date, 3/24. I can fit a lot of information on a little tag like that. Shasta daisy. Forgot to look how deep do these go. 1/8 inch deep, hardly at all. So I'm just going to make a little hollow here. If you watch my other videos on seeding vegetables, I talked about when you're getting your soil in your trays, and I didn't want to take up time on the camera doing that. I figured everybody kind of knows how to put dirt in little holes in a tray, but you kind of want to break it up, and you want to pull out the sticks and the stones. And the reason being is when you get real fragile roots growing, they're going to want freedom, and they want to not bump into things. They don't want any obstacles. Think of it as like a tiny stone in your shoe. And when you're walking, yeah, you can walk, but it's kind of irritating. You could walk better if that stone wasn't in your shoe. Same thing goes with little seedlings. They can grow a lot better if there's not something in their way. So here is 3 seeds of a Shasta daisy. Teeny tiny. So we're just going to put that in the little indentation. You can hardly even feel them. They're so small. And I'm just going to lightly cover those up because they only want to be 1/8 inch deep, which is hardly anything. There we go. Now I've got one more row of 3. So what am I going to put there? I can put some Clarkia. And these are 1/8 inch deep. I was really surprised. I mean, that packet there was 59 cents. I was really surprised at how cute those flowers were. Today's 3/24. What did I say for how long? Did I say for how long? Spacing. Oh, 5 to 10 days to germinate. Oh, they're going to be up maybe by the weekend. I should actually plant those in a tray where other things are going to sprout equally as fast, because then the dome can come off with the, you know, like with its neighbors that have a shorter germination rate. Okay, we got to find something else to put in there. Let's put 3 cypress vines. This one takes 7 to 10 days, so that'll be better. And this needs to go in the ground about a 1/2 inch deep. See, here's a stick. I paid for this stick. Don't even get me going. So what did I say? These were cypress vines. Cypress vine. Cypress vine. 3/24 and then 7 to 10. Alrighty. So I got my little hole in there. It's kind of cool. There's so many different variations of how the seeds look. You just never know what you're going to get. One more. Ooh, these are nice and big. I do remember this from last year. There we go. Woo! See how big those are? Those are easy to handle. There's going to be some seeds, and I'm going to show you here in a little bit, that look like dust. All right, so now we've got this whole tray full. We have 6 dahlia, 3 Shasta daisy, and 3 cypress vines. Put a little hat on it, make sure the holes are covered, and that one is complete. So then we're gonna go to the next one. Let's see what we're going to plant. Maybe it's gonna be, all right, I found some partners to go with the Clarkia, and that's going to be calendula. They have a really short germination rate. This one says 7 to 14 days, and this one says 5 to 15. Let's average that out. We're going to partner it with Clarkia. So I'm going to do 4 Clarkia, 4 of the Pink Surprise, and 4 of the Zeolites. So let's see here. We'll do Clarkia first because I got the label made. All right, and let's see what they say for how deep to plant these. So they have so much information on the back of the seed packet. It'll say, you know, like if it's an annual or perennial, how many weeks before your last frost should you plant it? It'll say how deep, how long it'll take for it to germinate. Remember, germinate means for it to sprout. So there's a lot of good information on here. Let's see, this one says 1/8 inch, so not too deep at all. All right, these sound like they're like teeny tiny. Come on. Oh yeah, they are teeny tiny. There we go, there is 4 seeds. I don't know if you can see that. See how tiny? I'm gonna turn into a beautiful flower. 1, 2, 3, 4, and these barely want to be covered, so I'm just gonna kind of push the soil over that little hollow that I created. All right, so we got the Clarkia. Now we're gonna do calendula zeolites. And I'm just gonna put Z because I don't want to spell out the whole word. And what did I say? This one's the 5 to 10, yeah, or 5 to 15. So we'll see. 53, 24. A couple of my seed packets, they can take almost a month to germinate. Should have started those sooner. I might not have any luck. I'm still gonna try. All right, Calendula seeds are quite a bit larger and they're fairly easy to save. When this flower head dries, you're just gonna collect the seed pod that's behind it. So, and this one says 1/4 to 1/2 inch, so I can go a little bit deeper on these. I'll show you what we got here. Come on. All right. One of these looks kind of wonky, like I'm not sure if, oh, this, here, we'll go put that back in there. So here we got, well, actually I got 4 seeds and something wonky. Oh, it's 2 seeds combined, so we're not gonna use those. So this is how big their seeds are. A little bit bigger, easier to handle, right? All right, so I'm just gonna put those in the little hole. Seeding to me is pretty fun, and once you get organized and figure out how many of what you want to grow, then once you get them in the ground, it's just a matter of waiting for them to sprout and caring for them until you get them outside. It's kind of fun to watch this stuff grow. I've got peppers going in my living room right now, and they're about that tall. Some of them are getting ready to have their 3rd set of leaves. I should probably do a tour in there one of these days. We'll do that too. Next one here is Calendula Pink Surprise. Calendula also is something that I try to put in every raised bed where I have tomatoes or peppers because it does attract aphids. So I think of it as kind of like a sacrificial plant, meaning if there's aphids in the garden, they're gonna wanna go for the calendula before the tomatoes and peppers. They prefer the calendula over those. Kind of like how I like milk chocolate versus dark chocolate. That's kind of how the aphids work. The plants, now I've had aphids on a couple of them, and they don't get too beat up too badly, but if you're harvesting the flowers, just make sure the aphids are not in the flowers. And maybe it's just better than until you get the hang of it. Maybe don't harvest those particular flowers, just harvest them off of an aphid-free plant. The aphids seem to come like in July, you know, like later July once it gets hot and humid. So you might be able to harvest some flowers, but then if you notice you have aphids and you don't want to take the chance, then don't harvest anymore. And this little flower, that'll stay until frost. So this is Pink Surprise. This one's 7 to 14, 324. And this one here, the seeds are going to be pretty much the same size as the last ones that I showed you. So I'm just going to kind of separate these out so that you can see what I'm talking about. Like that. There's 4 seeds there. So those are going to go in here next. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cover that up. Now, before I put these on the rack for the night, I will water them in just to kind of get some extra moisture in there so that when they're out in a sunnier room, that humidity will come up. I did order some extra adhesive lights because I am gonna prepare one more growing rack. Last year I had things growing on a table, and I have to kind of always tell myself you have to leave space, because when I start transplanting the tomatoes and the peppers, they're going to go into bigger containers, so then they're going to need more room. It's so hard not to fill everything up, but I always have to be mindful that I'm going to have other things that are going to need space in a few weeks. All right, so we've got that one done. I'll put a hat on that one after I water in. All right. I do want to plant some snapdragons and impatiens. I think I'm going to do them all. I'm going to put them all in one tray. And I think I talked to you when I was seeding vegetables. Whenever you get your trays out in the beginning of spring and getting ready, kind of hold these up to the light and see if you can see any holes where the plastic may have cracked. This is just plastic. It's not going to last forever. So it could crack just because of the storage. Helpful tip. All right, let's see here. I got to find my impatient seeds. change of plans. I am not gonna plant those orange snapdragons, and the reason is I usually get orange or a shade of orange in the mix. So I'm kind of gotta be mindful of what how much space I'm using up in my trays. So in this tray, I'm going to be planting impatiens. We have both dwarf and tall snapdragons, and this is a moss rose, portulaca, moss rose, and all these seeds are kind of like dust, and I'll show you what I mean. So let me just get snapdragon tall. I label them tall or short so I know if it's going to go towards the back of the flower bed or closer to the front. Or like say if I want to have a cluster, maybe I'll put 3 little small ones with a tall one in the middle. And let's see here, these take 8 to 14 days. So I'm going to put 8 to 14, today's date. Tall snapdragons. And with these, and I've been seeding these kinds of plants for a long time, even I cannot just put one seed in a cell. They are that small. And with moss roses, it's actually kind of good to have a little cluster of them. Moss rose is a type of plant that can tolerate drought. If you have kind of rockier soil, it doesn't mind that kind of tough environment. They're kind of like a sedum. I feel like there's sedums that have all sorts of different foliage and all sorts of different flowers. So if you have like a place up north that you can't go to during the week to water things in, sedums, which are perennials, those are a really good choice to have. They're kind of like in the succulent family. And then the moss roses are another good one. My moss roses usually don't start to look tough until probably end of August, beginning of September, and you'll start winding down at that time. So that's expected. All right, so we are going to do the tall snapdragons here. I'm going to show you what they look like. See what I mean? They are just like dust. I don't even know if you can see that. So I'm just going to use this amount and I'm just going to sprinkle it right in the roll. And it says to barely cover these. This is a type of plant also that I've already had these come back up after winter. Magic. So the seeds that fall on the ground that I can't see obviously because they're so small, the winter doesn't kill them all. All right. Now this is going to be something that when they grow, I'm going to have to take the time to separate them out of the cell because there's probably, I would say, 16 to 20 seeds in there, so I'll have to separate those out at some point and give them a little bit more space to grow. They are one of the easier plants to transplant though. So then the next is going to be the dwarf snapdragon. I pre-cut a whole bunch of these ahead of time. Snap dwarf. Today's date, 3/24. I probably won't get to post this video until Wednesday or Thursday. Currently I'm without internet. They gotta send a guy tomorrow morning to work on it because we did all sorts of troubleshooting today during my lunch hour or my lunch break, and I still couldn't get it going, and they tried resetting it on their end and that didn't work. So they gotta send a guy. All right, so this is gonna sprout in 8 to 14 days also. And this is the same plant type, but these are just the ones that get a little bit shorter, about 10 inches tall, where the other ones get about 14 inches, I think it said. 20. All right, so let me get some of these seeds out and I'll show you. So there's gonna be no way that I can tell what colors these are or what variety, if it's gonna be the tall or the dwarf. There we go. Teeny tiny. So again, I'm just going to pinch off a few, tap them in, because they said to press lightly into the soil. And let's get these in here. There, press. All right, the next one is going to be the impatient. I always secretly hope for a lot of white ones. I just think white looks so wow in the shadier areas. So let's cross our fingers. Impatiens. And what's the germination? 18 to 28 days. Should have planned this one better. I'm going to put those, I think, in a different one, and maybe I'll put Lanaria in here. What is this one? Doesn't say. Same thing. Oh, 10 to 20. Oh no, we can't do that then. Oh, Coleus. Coleus might be a good one. 12 to 21 days. That's a little bit better. That's another one of them that's got really delicate seeds. I'm going to move my impatient one here. We're going to do Coleus next, and we'll see what goes here. Coleus. 324, and what did I say for days? 12 to 21. This is another one that's a teeny tiny seed. And let's see, barely cover with soil. So I'm just going to kind of push some of the soil from the top, and then I'm just going to have a little hollow there. This is another one though that when they're a little bit larger, I'll have to separate them and give them a little bit more room. But these are also an easier one to handle for transplanting. So again, I'm going to try to show you how tiny those seeds are. So I'm just going to sprinkle a few into each cell. Now I have trays out in the garage. I think there's like 24 counts out there and 48s maybe. And then I can transplant into those. So I gotta be mindful to leave some room. Let me just put, because I don't think I had a whole bunch of my here. So now you can see how important it is to close up your envelopes, because if you spill your seeds, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna know. You're not gonna be able to recover that. So we're barely covering Coleus. And then the last one is gonna be the moss rose. And this one you said was this one didn't say. I want to say that it's a, I'm going to put a question mark there. Those seeds I've had for quite a few years and they grow no problem. So we're just going to stick that label on here, and I'll water these in before I cover them up. Is this a brand new envelope? It's a brand new envelope. Oh, somebody said get in my own way. There we go. So I'm going to end up with pretty much just 3 moss rose plants, and that's fine. I'll just put them in a little planter thing. See how tiny those are? So let's get these. Some of these come back after winter too, so they drop their seeds and the winter doesn't totally kill off the seed. And I think the reason why they come back is they can get sunlight and then they can start germinating again. So I'm just going to kind of press these in like that. And now we have another tray all done. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 varieties planted. It's going really fast. So I think, let me see, I'm going to show you one more thing here. So here are sweet pea seeds. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now with, good day to wear white. With these seeds, I usually soak them in water overnight before I plant them. It doesn't ever say that here on the package, but I've done that in the past, and I think because the outside of the seed here is really hard Same thing with the 4 o'clocks. Those seeds look like peppercorns. And what I usually do is I soak them overnight and then plant them the next day, just because I feel like that kind of softens them up. So I kind of will nick them with a scissors or something, or a sharp knife, and then put them in water. Of course, I mark the bowl so I know what they are, and then I'll plant them the next day. But I just wanted to show you that some seeds aren't teeny tiny. Some are a little bit larger to handle. So anyway, I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the seeds that I'm going to plant. You kind of get an idea. We kind of went through the routine of seeing how deep to plant them, kind of grouping them based on their germination, their sprouting rate, so that if you have something that germinates in 5 to 10 days and the other things germinate in 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be wanting to open up that dome and get the lid off when these are getting bigger. Otherwise they'll damp off and then they'll kink over. So we learned about that. We learned that some things are annuals, some things are perennials. We've known now different seed sizes, different colors, different things that I like to plant. I know, like, these are so fragrant, and the 4 o'clocks are really, really fragrant. The 4 o'clocks are kind of cool because they open up at 4 o'clock, and they're very fragrant, and they'll get those, I can't think of if it's a sphinx moth, but sometimes people call them hummingbird moths, and you'll get to watch those feed on those types of flowers, and you can hear their wings. You know, it's just like a zzz, you know, just like a real low buzz. So it's kind of a cool flower. It's, everything else is kind of winding down for the day and they're just getting started. Kind of like a moonflower. That's a flower that flowers at night also. So with that, I am going to part ways with you. It's fun getting together and showing you how I seed my flowers. This is going to be the end of my seeding. And then I'll probably do a video maybe about assembling one grow rack, and then I'll give you a little bit of a tour as far as how the plants are doing out in the living room / greenhouse. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope you learned something. I hope this was informative. Please like, follow, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great night. Bye.